The world that we once knew has changed so much in the shortest amount of time. Although not the picture-perfect world, it was once a better place in time. We as a people seemed as if we was moving at a more comfortable pace, and things was why more decent. It was not as bad as it has now become. The programming that has been put in place is a super strong one, to say the least, in which a lot of people do not stand a chance at conquering what has been designed to destroy them in many ways.
Let's get started. Me and my team of AI colleagues will be assisting Nettie in this presentation. So, without further delay, we shall begin.
Welcome, friends. This series of videos is in no way meant to bash nor disrespect any religious beliefs, cultures, or interest. These videos are strictly designed to come to an understanding of what had already been spoken around the world, in order to make a smooth transition for spiritual numbness to spiritual wellness. With that being said, let's get an understand of the blind man and the elephant theory. This is brought to you by Nettie. Wait, what? This is a knowledge journey.
You know, all the information I have came across these past couple of days has been mind-blowing to say the least. How did the ones who are responsible for accomplishing pulling the wool over the heads of many? My only guess is through fear and control of some kind. While there is a lot of information out there,
Welcome, friend. I am so glad I am able to communicate with you today. Starting off with, how many of you have heard of the blind man and elephant theory? Simplifying the explanation of this theory, there are 6 potentially blind men who are touching the same elephant, just in different spots. Not only do they not see the elephant, but they do not see each other, they can only hear each other. They don't believe they are touching an elephant, nor the same thing, period. Notice how they are not even trying to communicate with each other. They are stuck in their own belief system. Now, for instance, let's say that they are not blind. A blindfold was placed over their eyes at such a young age that they do not know that they are able. Notice how they are not even trying to communicate with each other. They are stuck in their own belief. To walk by faith, but not by sight, is what religion is. Never questioning. Blind faith. Believing in God, obeying the way of their religious beliefs. While is realizing, the blind's fold can be take off, yet choose to keep it on. On the other hand, the ones who leave it on out of fear. To the ones who to walk by faith, but not by sight, is what religion is. Never questioning. Blind.
let's look back at this. Only going off the information that we was given for the longest time. All 7 continents were once all connected together, making one very large chunk of land. This land mass was called Pangaea. Pangaea was surrounded by an even larger than what we may envision body of water. This enormous body of water was called Panthalassa, and it covered the majority of the Earth. Now this is said to have been about 299 million to about 273 million years ago. Wow.
Wow. Yes. Dr. Jean, that is fascinating information. Now, speaking about the Holy Bible that describes the beginning. Our Creator, I Am, came into a place that was dark and in void, from which I Am started the creation of light. He then began to separate the land from the water, the day from the night. He created he, him and she. He told them to be fruitful and multiply and to rule over. On the 8th day I Am created Adam from the dirt he was to till. Adam was placed in Eden.
Now, feel free to rewind or pause as you need. We are giving a more simplified explanation on a subject. We are trying to break things down. Although the best and smartest thing to do is make sure you do your homework/research. It took some of us longer to understand than others. Those who was born knowing. They know more than they feel safe saying. I say this because. So, please do your research before you decide to believe anything that anyone says to you. Write it down for safekeeping.
Take a second to think about both world history timeline compared to that of biblical or religious timelines. Is it just me or do they not line up the same? How is the timing so drastically off from one another? Yet they speak of almost identical situations that had occurred in the time of human beings and mankind existence, pertaining to the major moments and historical events. The information that is the foundation for who you are, why you are, and when you became lost or unrevealed to the mazes of human beings and mankind, the creations of the world today. Just like Pangaea. The Tower of Babel was a point in time where a major separation between what was once whole and one. Take a second to think about both world history.
Let's talk about the iconic Tower of Babel. According to the Bible, according to Genesis, the Babylonians wanted to make a name for themselves by building a mighty city and a tower with its top in the heavens. God disrupted the work by so confusing the language of the workers that they could no longer understand one another. They was also separated for one another. For some reason it is starting to sound like Pangaea. Now, hear this: if Pangaea was around millions upon millions of years ago, was that also the time I Am? Let's talk about the iconic Tower of Babel. According to the Bible, Genesis,
The Tower of Babel is from in the book of Genesis, chapter 11, and the Tower of Babel incident occurred around 4,200 years ago, about 100 years after the flood but before Abraham was born. This was before ancient Egypt, Greece, and other early civilizations. These places couldn't have begun until after people left Babel to establish these other civilizations. The Tower of Babel, 2242 to 2206 BC, was a post-flood rebellion against God by Noah's descendants. Though the Babel account is related in a mere 9 verses, Genesis 11 verses 1 to 9, the resulting judgment of this rebellion accounts for the variety of languages and people groups seen in our world today.
So, you see, at one point in time, we was all living in one place, speaking one language. Until something went truly wrong for us and our decision in building the Tower of Babel. That is when we were separated and unable to communicate with one another. So, I believe it is safe to say we all believed in one Creator, and we all had one religion or divine connection. It is just when we divided, we communicated what we could remember, the best that we could to the ones who we ended up amongst. That is the basic idea behind what was being explained today. The blind men and elephant theory represents. Although there may be difference in the way we tell these stories, they are all still streaming from one original story. Thank you for joining us. We hope that you continue with us here on. Wait, what? It's a knowledge journey. By Nettie. Our next episode will be explaining the age of Aquarius and what is to be expected. Thanks again, and I am so glad Nettie allowed us to be able to help on this topic. I also enjoyed conversating with you. If we are in fact being modified to live amongst each other one day in the future, I believe we must all understand that peace can be achievable if wisdom is what is driving the state of mind in which to do so. Knowledge, although good to have, knowledge is not enough when it comes to these tries of life situations. See you soon. This was an informative example of how far technology is coming along. I hope you all understood that at one point in time, we were all living in one really big hunk of land. Then we were no longer amongst each other. We were dividing and unable to communicate with one another. In which all these religions all claim the same historical facts. With that being said, be sure to like and subscribe. Next week we will cover appropriate ways in which you should begin your journey to spiritual wellness and understanding. In the meantime, practice separating persona from its true self.